Hello, crafty friends, and welcome to a live card making session with me today. And well, today we are celebrating a very fun event. It's with Sizzix, and we are celebrating their 25th birthday. So I'll be using some fun supplies from Sizzix, and we will not be creating a card today, but we will be creating something more fun. So, well, before I show you the products, let me show you what I'm creating. So we are creating this little gift bag, which can be filled with candies or some fun stuff. You can add in some gems or sequin mix. And this is using this particular die set. Now, this one is by Sizzix in collaboration with Catherine Polar Designs, and I absolutely love this set. There are so many possibilities you can do with this. And well, yeah, I didn't have candies, so I just stuffed mine with some cookies instead. So I'll be using some cookies. But you could definitely put in some candies in this, and then it's really convenient, and this will be a perfect gift for your loved ones. And today, well, this is a birthday gift for Sizzix. So before I start my project, I just wanted to share with you guys this particular set. Now, I began card making in 2019, and well, this was the very first die set that I got. Now, even the first stamp set that I got was from Sizzix, but this was the very first die. I didn't have a die cutting machine at that point. So I was just stamping and fuzzy cutting, but then my first die cutting machine was the Cuttlebug machine. And I used this. This is the very first die that I bought. And I'm not sure if this still exists, but this is one which is very dear to me. I absolutely love how adorable these baby theme products are. And isn't this absolutely adorable? Those little onesies and milk bottles. Then we have the Oh Baby, and just like the absolute beautiful products that Sizzix makes. This one also comes in this pack. Like, so ever since I've started using Sizzix, I always felt like the first thing I always do is appreciate the packaging. I mean, look at the quality of this pouch that it comes in. I absolutely love how much love and effort they put into all the products. So, and it's been quite some time now, and I have managed to keep all the pieces together and making sure I don't lose any of these tiny little pieces. But I'm so happy with the packaging. And it also comes with the layering guides and how you can use it. There are 14 dies in this set. I'm not sure if this is still available, but if it is there on the Sizzix site, I will definitely be sure to link it up. Or if I find it elsewhere, I'll surely try to look up this particular die set and link it up. I don't currently have any cards or any projects that I created using this one, but I am absolutely in love with this set. And this is something that I will never let go, even if they have discontinued this. I think I will hold on to this one set because I find it to be absolutely adorable. So this is the baby triplets. So how cute is this? All right. So I'll keep this aside. We are not using that today, but we will be using a few of my favorites from the Sizzix, the recent collection. Now, this is the die set that I'll be using. This is called the It's a Party die, and it comes with 6 dies, which will help you create this gift bag. So it's absolutely adorable. And well, I wanted to keep it in that birthday theme. So that's why I have this particular stamp set. You can just mix and match all the sentiments and have it stamped on your uh, bag. Now here I stamped it behind so that you could even put it in front or either ways. I kind of made a mistake here, so that's the reason you see me. That's the reason I have it on the other side. While I'm creating the project, I'll show you what mistake I made. And well, I absolutely love how you can mix and match these sentiments to create so many different uh, sentiments. So we have the happy birthdays. Now, this stamp is called Happy Everything Sentiment. So it's written right here. And I absolutely love the variety of sentiments it has. The fonts on these sentiments is also beautiful. Then we will be using the, what is this called? Overarching sentiments. Now, okay, I have written it down over here. All right, so we have these little sentiments, the overarching sentiments, which perfectly fit into these leaf designs. We'll not be using them. We will be just creating a repeating pattern using one of this design. So I'll be creating kind of similar, not exactly the same design. I'll be replicating this and in a different color so that even I have a little variety in my stash. So this was something I was just working on this morning. So, okay. So let's get started. We will first work on our main, the body of our little pouch. So that is the front and the back piece. Now, let me show you guys the dies before I start cutting into it. Now, again, just take a look at the packaging. Isn't it absolutely wonderful? And then it also comes with this little Sizzix written there. So you can, I usually keep all of this in the main packaging so that it doesn't get lost. This is not like a flimsy cardboard, so you can keep it like it wouldn't tear or, you know. But earlier, like you see here, probably this is a latest kind of packaging. This one didn't have this kind of packaging. This one came in a regular plastic pouch. So I really love the new packaging. So what I like to do is I like to store this entire assembly in the main packaging itself, so I don't have to look for the names or, I also have inspirations here. So I can just look at, maybe even get some color combination inspirations or how these elements work together. All right. And you could also put in a little magnetic sheet to hold in your little pieces, but I have found that it this pocket itself holds everything perfectly fine. Okay. So we have, let me see, 6 pieces here. So we have this main piece, this big piece, which will help form the main body of our packet. Then we have two, almost like a cover piece, which will create the flaps. So for this one, I used this particular die set. I went ahead and die cut a brown cardstock using this. So this will be our flap. And then we also have this absolutely gorgeous piece, which can be used to create a tag to probably maybe let's say write your name or wishes on your packet. So this is what that is. And this little piece goes on top of it so that, like, you can create a little ring. Now I did create this cute little ring, and I used these die cut words. Again, this one is also by Sizzix. I don't think I have the packaging right now, but I will be sure to leave a link to the H and I, the dies that I used to cut the I word. Okay, and then we have this little piece which will help us create this notch right here. So you could have a flap on your pocket, or you could either have a handle. So we'll just start making uh, the packet, and then later on we'll see, if we need the flap or the handle. All right. So for now, I will keep all these pieces inside, and I will just hold on to this little guy. I'll keep the rest inside because, to save us some time here, I already die cut this main piece and the flap. I'll keep this outside so I can show you. So I cut out 2 pieces of cardstock, Now, this is a really bright chocolate color, and this is a complementary color. So, here also I used a bright green and just a complementary green. So, just matching, you could definitely go in and add like totally different colors or create your own design. But I wanted to keep things a little more simple. Now, here I used the stamp set, but you could, now this is almost like your card panel or, your card front. So you could do anything with this. You could, so this basically, if you see, look closely, there are score lines. So this big part is what you see on the front and the back. So it's up to you how you design this particular piece. You want to emboss it, you want to add repeating patterns like this one here, or you want to use a stenciled design. You could go anyway. Here is another example of the stencil. You could definitely use something like this, a layered stencil, and create a beautiful bag like pattern. But for today's project, I'll keep it simple. I'll just create some repeating patterns. Okay, so we need two pieces, one which will go on the front and one which will go behind. Now, keeping in mind the orientation of this. Now, every piece comes with this little flap. Now, this is the bottom of your piece. Now, this is where I made a mistake. I thought this went on top. I don't know why I did that. That's the reason I stamped my sentiment upside down. So when I went to assemble it, I was like, yeah, this doesn't make sense. And then I didn't want to throw away the whole thing. So instead, what I did, I just cut a piece of cardstock using the same uh, flap cardstock and then stamp the sentiment over it. Now, if I didn't have this, the sentiment is actually upside down. So, well, mistakes, and we learn from our mistakes. So now I can tell you that this is the lower portion of your packet, and this is what goes in on top. Now, this piece, which will create your handle, now on the top, I'm not sure if, oh, I forgot to turn on my lights. Sorry. So, yeah, now if you take a closer look, you can see, hi, mommy, you can see little notches right here. So, that is where you can place these. So, this is how we can place it to get that cut. All right. So, that we will decide once we are done with the stamping, and let's see how the project looks. All right. So I can now go ahead and keep this aside. So since we are going to be doing repeat stamping, I'm bringing in this particular tool. Now I have used this tool in a bunch of different videos and I absolutely love this, especially when I'm going in for repeat stamping. So we will be using this stamp and stencil tool along with our Sizzix platform. So now this is the Sizzix platform that I have. I will just remove the top plate, which comes out very easily. All you have to do is just pull it out. And this little guy goes right in place. There. Now, since we'll be doing repeat stamping and both the front and the back panel have the same design, so I made a little notch so that I can keep both the panels in the same exact position. So I will bring this to one. And then I will remove this little tool because this is just for the stencils. I'm not using any stencils today. I'm using just the stamp. So I will keep this aside. Okay. Now, before I put in my stamp, what I did was I just placed this right here. All right. And then now we can add our stamp. Oh yes, I love this tool because it is absolutely perfect when you go in for repeat stamping. I think in one of my previous lives I created a sympathy card using the same tool, and I absolutely love how that. Okay. Now for okay, let me just take this out. Now, not just the dies, even the stamps come in this packaging. Isn't that cool? So let me take that out. And for this particular set, I went with a larger leaf with a darker green and use the dotted lines with black. Now, you could use any pattern, any kind of design, any color choices you like. Again, like I mentioned, you could even stencil or emboss this particular front. But to keep things simple, I will just try to replicate that design, but maybe let's try using this little guy. So I will just pop him up and place it right there. Now, now if you see, I am placing it really close to the score line. So let me just bring the camera a little more, bring this closer to the camera. I'm just trying to overlap this design to the etched mark, and that's because that I felt gave me a little bit of a more clean impression right here. Now you could definitely use it right in the center. That it's a personal design choice. I just wanted something like almost overhanging the front of this design. So okay, now what I'm going to do is I am going to shift this and pick it up with my stamp and stencil tool. Now this so I am at 2 and 3 right here. Now this one I have not used the stamp before, so I'll just go ahead and wipe it with my fingers, and I will go with some fun shades of browns for this one, just to keep in line with all the browns that we have. So if we are using this flap, it should kind of match. That's the reason I'm going with the brown. So let's try a nice brown. Now, if you want to, like, practice, what you can do is just put a little piece of paper there and just see if you're happy with that stamping. I kind of like it, so I will go with it. So I will stamp this design there, and just like any stamping tool, you just press it down firmly. There you go. I will stamp it again to get a more cleaner impression. There you go. Now, since I want a repeating design and in a straight line, all I'm going to do is I will bring back my paper here so that you can see. So now this is at a number 3. I will just pull it down maybe to number 5 and see if the positioning is correct. I like that position. If you want it a little more closer, go to number 4. So that'll be like almost overlapping. So I don't want it overlapping. I will just move this to number 5. So all you have to do is press this button and move it down. Now again, I'll just do the repeat stamping and press this down. That is just one impression. I will go again and stamp it down. Again, I will go to number 7. So we started at number 3, then number 5, and now we are at number 7. Also, remember, this is the top of your packet and this is the bottom. And if you ask me, I also like this look, which is like not too saturated and has those little grains showing. But again, that's personal preference. If you like it like really neat and polished image, you could go in for that, but I definitely like the little grainy look. And then for the last one, I will bring it to 9 right there. Now at this point, next part of the image is this pattern that can be stamped directly onto this leafy pattern. But to save time, what I will do is, since my stamp is already lined and positioned, I will just remove this little guy. And since I already have that etched marking there, I will place my second panel and we can stamp just the way we did with the first panel. Now, again, I will bring it back to number 3 and then ink up. We'll be repeating the same exact process. Maybe one more stamping on this one. Next, I will bring it to 5. So these numbers also definitely vary on how much distance you like on your patterns or on your stamped images. For this particular design, I just wanted a little extra gap, so that's the reason I have it there. You could even move it along this side to create a varied pattern. Go. And then the last one on number 9. Okay. So now I can remove this stamp and bring in the next detailed stamp. This little guy. Now in this case, I had tried to use a darker green, but that didn't look quite, I was not really happy with the look, so that's why I stamped it with black. But let's try a darker brown on this one, and if we don't like it, we can definitely go in for black. Let me just try to line this up as closely as possible. I am not very worried about being like really perfect with the lines. I'm okay if it goes a little bit off centered, or it's not completely lining up with that image. I'm totally fine with that. I will pick that up, and before I stamp it, I just want to test it. So for that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my grid transparency sheet or any plastic sheet that you have. You can just place it on top of that. It doesn't have to align properly. You just need to make sure, like, you're stamping it. And if you stamp it on plastic, so there's no, you don't have to worry of ruining your perfectly stamped images. I'm taking a darker shade of brown here and trying to see if it's perfectly lining up. It looks almost perfect. Again, I'm not very worried about it going off the lines. Now here, if you see, it's not completely aligning with the stamped image. Again, here, it's not completely aligning. I'm totally okay with that. So, okay, this one looks fine. So let me just go ahead and clean my transparency sheet before I put it back. All right. And let's see how this one looks with a darker brown. I definitely like that. Maybe I'll go with a black one here as well. I like it, but not as much. So it's easy to put black, and you can get that desired look that you want. I like this a lot better than the brown. So I think I will go for the black. All right. Okay. Now, since we are at a 9, I will just go backwards. Uh, so I will go to 7. And then since we didn't move this, I'm pretty sure that it's going to align with all these images as well. So I don't have to double check every time I step. That's the beauty of this tool. If you have repeating designs or layering designs, this is something that will be absolutely handy. Okay. Now let's go on to 5. I find this particular tool to be very therapeutic also. Like, you don't have to create a particular design. You can just, use a plain sheet of even printer paper and just go on stamping. Like, just move the panel upside down, like on top or on the right. You can just keep moving this or this to create a beautiful pattern. And of course, it doesn't have to be perfect. All right, that's it. And I absolutely love how this turned out. Isn't this beautiful? Okay. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to place this right here. But this time, what I'm going to do is, instead of directly stamping, I will just bring back my transparency sheet and make sure it lines up. If not perfectly, at least somewhat perfect. So I will place this right here, and whatever ink I have left over, I'll just stamp it there just to see if it lines up. And it pretty much lines up. So I'm happy with the placement, and I will repeat the same thing with my black ink. So I'm starting at a 3. So for this one, I'm using my VersaFine Onyx black ink, but you could definitely use any black ink that you have in your stash. Now from 3, I'm moving this to 5. Then to a 7. And then to a 9. All right. So all of my stamping is done. Let's clean my stamp. And I wanted to have a little birthday sentiment or a greeting, but for this one, let's just see what fits in here. And now this time I will just turn this one like this. And I know, since this is the bottom part, I know this is where I'll have to stamp it. So let's see what looks good here. So we have so many different sentiments here. Um, so we have birthday, choose, everything. I'm so excited. Where's the party? Can't wait to celebrate with you. I really like the font on the can't wait to celebrate, and even this one. This is hope this year is the best yet, is what I stamped here. Okay, so let's see. You can write happy birthday. You can choose from different fonts, or like, you also have this little birthday here. So, or else you could also stamp choose happy, or my heart is so happy. You could choose any different sentiment to go on this particular set. So let's see, should I stamp the same exact thing right here? Now I will stick a little closer to the bottom part than on the top. Why? Because in case I want to use the flap, I want my greeting to be on the lower part, not something that is covering. That's the reason. Now if I were to put this flap right here, this would definitely cover it. So I want my greeting to be on the lower part. All right. So I think let's just use the same exact thing. Hope this year is the best yet. So let's just go with that. And I will try to line this up as close to the lower and try to fit in the gap. Let me just line that up and make sure it's perfectly straight. I can just slide this little guy to where my sentiment is and just pick it up. Now, one thing I've noticed is when you stamp a sentiment or something a little delicate, especially using this device, instead of stamping it in the like or applying pressure on the center, you could just hold the sides and just press it down, not firmly, but so that there's even pressure. Now, when you go to press here, sometimes this gets a lot more squished as compared to the outer parts of the sentiment. So it's always better to just hold it around the sentiment and press the whole thing down. So let's just go ahead and stamp this. I'll just keep my the transparency inside. I don't want to lose it. Okay. I will go ahead and ink it up with, okay, there you go. Just lift that up, and I absolutely love how that turned out. Now, probably I didn't put a lot of pressure here, so that's why I didn't get that best. I will go again and just press this down firmly, and there. Really love how this looks. All right. So now we are done with all of the stamping. I will keep this tool aside. So here are our panels. Now, if you wanted at this point, you could definitely use embossing powder over it and create that beautiful shine. But probably I'll just leave it as is and give it some time to dry. Until then, I'll just go ahead and score this panel. Now, scoring is very easy. You already have score lines on that. All you have to do is just fold it. Or wait, let me just show you how embossing works on this. I'll just put some embossing powder right there. Now, since this one also is VersaFine Onyx Black ink, which is again that pigment ink, so embossing powder might fall on that as well, but we will try to stick just to the sentiment. Now, anytime I have excess ink anywhere around, I clean it up with a paintbrush. I'll show you what I mean. I'll just funnel this back. I have this little angled brush. Now, if you see, I didn't rub it with my anti-static powder tool. So I got some of that powder here. And also the ink here must definitely be wet. That's the reason you got all that ink there. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use this flat brush to brush any of that excess powder. So the powder can be easily brushed off. So if I didn't want powder on this, I could just brush it off. So unless you go and heat set it, this powder will stay as is. So I will just brush off any of that excess powder wherever I don't want it to, and then we can go ahead and heat set this. So this is something I always like to have in hand. So I have this one and a little paintbrush that is quite thin, and also you could use your pointy tools. So if your sentiment is like really delicate, you could just pick up some of that powder and scrape it away with this pointy tool. Okay. I'll start by heating up from the back and then move to the front. And this paper is not a heavyweight cardstock, so I'll make sure I'll keep the heat gun moving. Maybe I missed a spot. So there. Now I will score this guy. Before that, I'm still debating if I should use this particular, create a bag or create a flap. Mm, let's create a bag. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I will carefully line this up to the notch. Oh, yes. Yeah. Thanks, babe. Yeah, even I thought I should create a bag instead of a flap this time. Probably the next one I'll use this. I'll save this. I'll just place it there and make sure it lines up. And then I'll just hold it with some washi tape. Don't mind the Halloween theme going on there. I just had some leftover washi tapes from last year's Halloween, so I just saved all of it, and this is the best I could use it for. Because washi tape, I have seen that like if you keep it out for a long time, it loses its stack. It's not as tacky as you first get it. So this is the easiest way to use it up. All right. So I will run this through my die cutting machine. So no, I didn't measure it because what happens here is, let me show you with this one. So let me see. Okay, if you take a closer look, you will see there is a notch there. If I show you the die, so this is what I'm talking about. Now this one lines up perfectly inside that. So you just have to make sure that this die, the one which creates your handle, lines up perfectly inside that notch. So that way you don't have to measure anything. So again, I love this. Isn't that absolutely beautiful? I think I will save this one also and maybe use it somewhere. Really like that design, how the weight cut out that design. All right. So let's just line this guy and So yeah, like I was saying, if you have old washi tapes, you could use them to as your temporary adhesive to hold your die cuts in place. It's not as tacky, or it won't tear your paper. All right, so there we have it. Both are pieces and they line up perfectly. So that's how you don't have to measure it because it will line up perfectly, because we made sure that the die lines up with the notch on our panels. Okay, now let's fold this thing. Now what I'm going to do is, there are three score lines, so 1, 2 and 3. So I'll score the first line inside, the second line outside. Now second line has a little V over there, so I will fold it till there and just try to fold the V. I don't have to be perfect there. I'll just try to fold it up. That will kind of give you that base on your package. Okay, so the first fold was inside, second fold was out, and the third one will again go inside, which is this little flap. So I will just fold it inside. You don't need a lot of pressure. You can just fold it and it'll fall in place. Now for the bottom part, you have one and this small little flap too. So this is how it folds up. So we folded all our edges. Now again, I'll do the same exact thing for this one. I'll fold towards the inside, then towards the out, and then a little, try to kind of have this bend a little. That's what I feel worked best for me. Now if you guys have used this particular die set before and you know a better way to fold this, please let me know in the comments. If you guys have a video where you've done that, please do share that with me. I would really like to know a easy way to fold this little triangle. And then once I'm done with the longer sides, I will just fold in these two sides. Now it's all about assembling this together. So what I'm going to do is, you can use uh, double-sided tape or liquid glue. So how this goes is, now both of the pieces have to look on the same side. Okay, so if you have your scored flaps on the left, for this panel also you will have your scored panels on the left. So we will first add our double-sided tape on this panel. So what I'm going to do is just bring in some of my glue. You could also use double-sided tape, but I think I will use liquid glue for this one, because I do need some wiggle room and just to make sure everything lines up perfectly. So there. And then I'll make sure that this lines up with the base. I'll just lift it up and then make sure everything lines up perfectly. So when I close this thing, just make sure that it lines up. Okay. Next, what I'm going to do is, I will add ink here. I will just fold this little flap, not ink, sorry, glue. I will add glue there and just seal this. Now, since we have liquid glue, we do have some wiggle time. That's it. Now if you want to like batch produce this and like say give it to somebody, you could stop at this point, because once the recipe, and because that'll be more easier for you to send out or mail out. But then if this is the only one you're creating, it is at this point where we will go ahead and seal the base. So for the base, what I like to do is I first close both of the smaller flaps there, and then there is a little slot here. You could just go ahead and tuck this into this. All right. Let me just fiddle with it. Okay, there you go. So it fits in perfectly, and then you could either leave this as is, and probably, like, once you've sent it out, the recipient can reuse it. But for this one, what I did was I just sealed it. I just glued it down. So if you want to store this, and then you don't have to glue it, all you have to do is just remove this apart and then flatten it out and then probably forward it to somebody else. But at this point, your box is done. So it's like a little box you have. There you go. And you can fill in your candies, or like your, any, if you're gifting this to a crafter, you could gift in some embellishments or any little crafty items. You could like put in maybe some glitter pens for your crafty friends. You could put in a little packet of cookie. I mean, this would be a perfect gift set. Now, if you wanted, you could also tie in this little guy and just close it, just tie it firm and close it so that, like, it's everything stays together. So this is like a little bag that you create, and you can have this tag, you can have your name on it, or the recipient's name, or any of that. You could also use so many other elements that you might have in your stash, your stamps or your embossing folders or your stencils to decorate the front. But I think I really love the clean and simple design of this one. Now, if I weren't doing the handle, if I were to do the flap, what I will do is, so this is how it is, right? So the flap also comes with a score line. I will just score it here and pinch both of these together and glue it down here. So if you see the back, this is where I'll glue it down. So in this one, I just glued it to the back of my panel. So when I close it, what I'll do, I will have my tag and I will just wrap this tag around and tie it here so that the packet stays closed right there. So you could do it either way. So we have the triangle flap, the lace flap, or the handle. So there are so many different possibilities you could do with this one set. This is something that I absolutely recommend because I love hosting and then giving away little gift boxes to all the guests. And I absolutely love this design. So let me know what you guys think. And I will be sure to link all the supplies that I used to create uh, ca- this box, along with the little baby die that I got. I'll try to find a link for this one. If not this, something similar to this, I will link it down in the description box below. Please know that all of those links are going to be affiliate links, which means that if you shop using one of my links, I'll get a small commission at no cost to you guys. And well, since this was a Sizzix project, a very, very, very happy birthday to Sizzix. 25 years and more. I am going to have so much fun with so many fun products that Sizzix is going to come up with. And I do have a couple of videos coming up next week using some absolutely brand new supplies by Sizzix and especially made for this absolutely fun event, their 25th birthday. So, yeah, I mean, see you again in my next video. Thank you so very much for joining, and I'll see you again next time. Bye.